Hello there, YouTube. It's a dreaded day after Labor Day. Gotta go. Gotta head back to the old grind. And felt like riding the street glide today. I think I caged it most of last week because it rained almost all week. I think I rode the iron one day. I think that was my only ride to work last week, if I recall correctly. And that was kind of sketchy, but it seems like it was okay. But anyway, on the old street glide here, the old glide. But had a wonderful day yesterday. Me and the little woman drove up to Olympia and hung out at a mall for a while. We haven't done that in quite some time, which is sad because you know, I see some of these malls struggling. This mall's not struggling, trust me, but a lot of malls, you know, have a hard time. You know, it seems like they're constant. It's like a bunch of gypsies coming and going out of the little different stores, but it's great to see a mall just striving. I love, I think, the whole concept of an indoor mall. It seems a lot of, like in smaller areas, are mowing the mall down and having, I think they refer to them as like a strip mall or an outdoor mall, and which is old school. You'd think I'd like that, but I'm a product of the malls when they came about, the popularity of those things just soared in the 70s, you know. And I like the concept of being inside like that. It's a nice social environment. I just enjoyed the hell out of malls. So that was kind of cool to go hang out at Capitol Mall, which is, you know, Olympia is the capital of Washington, so hence its name, the Capitol Mall. But that was a lot of fun. I spent way too much time in the AT&T store, but that was way cool. Those guys treat you like a king in there. It's crazy. Hell, I had 3 gals that sat with me for about an hour. That was awesome. And this one manager, she's a manager or supervisor of some sort. She was awesome, very knowledgeable, and all of them were kind of geeky people. So it was very cool to speak to people that can speak your language, you know. That's always fun to get in a group like that, especially when you got 3 people and you're bouncing everything off each other, you know. Find out some cool different things about devices and networks and how different things work. It's funny how a lot of these people have worked at other places, and it's very interesting to hear some of the woes of what goes on. And AT&T is kind of one of those things that's you know, they're kind of like Honda and Harley. In my mind, oh, look at the deer standing right there. They're gonna run in front of me too. It's amazing how they can jump like that. That thing doesn't even think about that fence. But anyway, they're, you know, I've never met anybody that works or, you know, did that for a while and then moved on to a different career altogether. Or that was a stepping stone to a new career. But how proud they are to work at AT&T. And to me, when you have a bunch of employees that absolutely love their job and enjoy being there, you know, especially in a retail environment, that's pretty rare. That speaks volumes for a corporation when the employees are truly happy. And you know, as we were waiting for different things, the gals got to talking between themselves, and, you know, talking about stuff at work, and It was like new team uniforms are coming. They're all excited about that. Everybody's all excited about the DirecTV merger, and yeah, you can just tell these people are truly happy there. And the one gal, and it was probably the reason it took me so long, but that's okay. You know, you got to learn somewhere. I don't mind being a guinea pig, and I was asked in advance if that was cool. You know, that a trainee, you know, do my deal. And my phone plan is quite complicated, so there was a huge possibility of a mishap there, and it's kind of a weird thing, and part of the deal was my fault, because like a retard, I was behind on my DirecTV bill, and it kind of locked the thing out. It said something about I didn't have enough credit to do the purchase, and had them all kind of bewildered. So the supervisor, she had a good idea, but she just couldn't figure out what it was. She goes, I found it. She goes, would you be able to pay your DirecTV bill today? I said, oh, you know what, you're right. So that was the main problem. It just wasn't letting the transaction go through, and it was to make a complicated data plan more complicated. They threw in a free Samsung Galaxy Tab 4 in the mix, and I played with that thing a little bit, and you know, it does as advertised. It'll work as a tablet. It'll work. But as a side note, all I got to say is Apple has nothing to worry about. Not that Apple has anything to worry about anyway, but wow. You know, and this thing was free. So, you know, I am very grateful. You know, and you know, it's funny, there's this thing called Plenty, where you get rewards, and I get like $2,500 or 2,500 points and $25 or something. It's one of these like reward cards that, you know, you can redeem at different businesses and stuff like that. Well, they've partnered up with AT&T, and it's a free thing, but different purchases, you even get points for paying your bill. So it's kind of one of them goofy things, but anyway, that I don't know what, there was some weird thing with logging in or whatever. I had to get on my computer to do it. The gal, Megan was her name. Good looking gal too. Anyway, all these gals are beautiful. The new gal, she's I don't know if she's retired or now she's on reserves or whatever, but she's military, which is cool. Actually a hawk instead of a damn buzzard. Just everything's buzzards here lately. Every time you see a big bird, it's a buzzard. But anyway, I just had a fantastic time. You know, Kelly's going, what took so long? And I go, hell, it could have taken longer. I was having a great time. She goes, yeah, you look like you're pretty comfortable there, all nestled up with your little entourage there. She kept walking by, and we're laughing and carrying on, and she goes, you're terrible. She goes, hey, those gals were really pretty though, weren't they? And I go, oh, hell yeah. I hope I didn't get that bird. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. The Galaxy Tab 4, I mean, I would consider that absolutely, you know, just shy of one of those cheap Chinese things you can buy at Walmart's or whatever. It doesn't hold a candle to the wind to the Nexus 7, which is a 2013 model tablet. And man, that thing, just that raw, pure Android experience, that is just fantastic. But and I've noticed, let's move on to the Note 5 here for a little bit. I've noticed with the Note 5, there's a lot of stuff that, even though you're going through TouchWiz, it's you can tell it's it's Android that it is so close to raw Android, like the mail app, the messaging app. You can kind of see it's the old TouchWiz, but it's kind of not. Really cool. So they have really toned down their TouchWiz, and tons of features. You know, it was just not overwhelming, but over bloated. There was just way too much crap in TouchWiz. Well, all that stuff is, you know, it's just the basics that are in there. And then you can go into the Galaxy App Store and add too. Like if there's there's a bunch of features missing from the S Pen, which, I mean, the thing does so much, I can't imagine what I'd want to add. But there's different things for, you know, if you do drawings, and different things for pushing notes to other apps and stuff like that. So I'll probably download some of those. But the S Pen and S Note app, those two, you know, the device and the app associated with it, man, freaking tastic, man, it's awesome. And I actually can see myself right now using that S Pen a lot. Like I said, I don't think more than a dozen times I've pulled that S Pen out. And the problem with the S Pen on the Note 4 is it only worked on some things, you know, so it was this hit or miss. And when you expected to do something, it wouldn't do it with, you know, a different app or whatever the case was. It seems to be way more integrated. In fact, I haven't come across anything that I can't interact with yet. I haven't played with a bunch of third-party apps to see if you know, if there's some incompatibility stuff. But I can just tell you right now, the whole experience with this phone is leaps and bounds ahead of what the Note 4 was. And you know, the one thing everybody, you know, there's three things. It's missing the IR blaster, which is just an infrared thing, so you can control televisions and DVDs and players and stuff like that. I never used that thing anyway. I did use it in my son's bedroom when his remote died. You know, so, but, and the expandable storage and the replaceable battery, I never used that anyway. Like I say, I took the back off to put the battery in and to put the micro SD card in, and then I took it back off to pull the card out when I went to turn the phone in. That's it. Well, it was taken off. There was 3 times the cover was taken off. The third time was like you know, the day or two after I got it, or maybe even the next day. The general manager at our store, Travis, wanted to see how the battery and the inside looked, so he pulled the cover off, and I snapped it back on. So technically the back cover was off 3 times, but never had a spare battery, never had to add memory. It's 64 gigs, and with all the cloud storage available nowadays, there's no reason that 64 gigs wouldn't be perfect. Oh, and just as a side note too, is I pushed everything from the SD card back to the device before I unmounted the card and pulled it, and I didn't come close to using up the stock 32 gigabytes that the Note 4 had. So this memory thing's just, you know, I can imagine if you're a power user, yeah, you're probably going to run into stuff. But there's so many of those, what the hell, the acronym for it's a OTG or something like that. You know, like I ordered I think it's a 64 gig SanDisk. It's a USB 3, and it'll switch. It flips one way, flips the other way. One side is a standard USB or USB-A, and you flip it the other way, and it's a micro USB. So, you know, you know, something like that, I carry these little cards with me all the time. I never leave home without them, so to speak. So I have a 64 gig that I carry with me now, and what I'll do is I'll just push everything from that card that's on there now and make this my main one. But at any time I can flip this thing in an Android device or plug it into a computer. So anything I need to swap, mess around with, whatever, it's right there. Plus I always carry my iPad with me, and the little case that it has, I have all the little adapters for you know, hooking up to Android, and the what do they call it, the photography kit or whatever the hell it is for the iPad, all the little cards that pop into it. Anyway, I got all that crap that I keep with me, and I'm literally never without my iPad. It's only an iPad 3, so it's you know, it's older and slow and heavy and everything else, but you know, it does its job. It can be a little annoying because you know from the 5S and now the 6 Plus, they're so incredibly fast. You know, everything it does is just absolutely instant. You know, it's a little annoying to kind of deal with the same operating system on the iPad, you know, the iPad version of it, but you know, dealing with the same stuff and you know, having it not, I mean, it responds to everything I do quick enough. It just, you know, it's the way it processes things is slower. It's just, geez, that thing's what, 3 or 4 generations old now, because it went iPad 3, iPad 4, Air, and Air 2, so I guess there's been 3 generations that have replaced it. And on September 9th, I don't know if they'll do the iPad, I'm sure, I think they do the iPad at the same time they do the phone, but September 9th is when the new iPhone, and I'm sure the iPad, you know, I think there is an offset between the iPad and the phones, but whatever. The newest iPad will be announced here real soon. And yes, regardless, I will buy the newest iPhone. And I think I got a double-edged sword now, because I'll probably be buying the newest Samsung Note. I just pray they don't default everything to the Edge, because I am not a fan of the Edge. You know, visually very appealing. It's got a lot of wow factor to it, but I think you guys that's been watching me for a while know by now I'm not big on impressing people. It's gotta work for me. And yeah, the Edge, I played with it again there at the AT&T store, and I'm like, woo. And it's funny, all 3 of the gals there all agree, and it seems to be kind of a consensus that it is for the person that wants to impress people, because functionally it pretty much everybody feels it's inferior. It's cool to have the little gadgets that, you know, can run off on the edge and stuff like that, but you know, I use my phones. I don't play with them as much, and you know, it literally reduces the screen width. You know, yeah, granted it's rolling over the edge, but really, yeah, it's not. I mean, it is, physically it is, but it's not as usable as one would think. The biggest thing, and I've got this weird thing about glare, is the edges. Any light in the room at all, it reflects on that rolled over edge, and to me, you might as well just take the edge off of it at that point. It's breaking up. Like if you try to watch a video or something on it, or look at pictures, you're literally, it's like taking your pictures on your computer, and at the top of your screen and the bottom of the screen, just take a, you know, import it into an app you can draw on, and just draw a white line right across the top of your screen and the bottom of your screen. That's what you see when you look at one of those Edge phones. You know, that's just a personal thing. And you know, they got plenty of the 6 Plus Edge, or whatever the name of that damn thing is. Why they just call it the Note 5 Edge, I have no idea. It's a tongue twister if you say it enough times. But anyway, got tons of those, and I got the last 64 gigabyte black that they had, They had another 64 white, only one of them as well. All the 32s are gone. That was the only 2 Note 5s they had. One white, one black. Or the black sapphire, as it may be. So they're selling the hell out of those. And they had just got another little batch. They got an initial batch of them, and then you know, this was one of their newer batches, and when they come in, woof, everybody dives on them. So I got lucky, and in fact the gal I spoke to on the phone, which I won't get in any race things, but by the voice of the gal, that was Megan, who ultimately was my main girl that helped me. But beautiful gal. Woo. And anyway, she, you know, she's going, we only have one and we can't hold them. You know, and it's not like Apple, like, you know, Apple won't tell you how many they have. All they can say is they have it. So what I do is just, I use my app on my phone, I buy it, and then come in and pick it up. That way it reserves it. AT&T doesn't really have a thing where you can buy it. The only way you can buy it over the phone is not to do it over the phone and do it online. And you know, I always say everything all good about AT&T. And it's funny when you say some, you know, somebody's with another carrier, they always got some crazy story of how AT&T screwed them. They screwed their girlfriend, their wife, their uncle, whatever. That's a crock of shit. They ain't screwing nobody. There's a misunderstanding somewhere, and the misunderstanding is on your part. Now, AT&T has made mistakes. I had a little kiosk store, it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago, a kiosk store at a mall up in Seattle. Somehow or another mistakenly used my phone number and knocked my unlimited plan out, and my bill got all kinds of weird. And you just dial 611 and got a hold of it, and they go, oh yeah, and they fix it right there, and just overly apologetic, you know. But then they send you emails and texts, you know, if there's anything, you know, it was great talking to you, you know, is there anything else we can help you with, you know, click this link. And they're just super nice. And I've never, geez, I've been with them for well over 10 years. And then we got to talking about networks and stuff, and this one guy used to work for Verizon, and wow, I just won't even touch on that. But anyway, and she's going, geez, she goes, have you ever ventured over to anybody else? I said, absolutely not. So we kind of got a little discussion to that, you know, and I'm, as long as somebody does me right, I am very, very loyal. They've never done anything to make me even think twice about switching over. You know, and you see the commercials about how other carriers have better coverage and whatever. I can tell you 1,000 times over how many times I've had great coverage and somebody on another carrier has not. So, and those things change all the time. They're always, you know, everybody's messing around with towers and stuff like that. And now, you know, they literally share the towers. You know, and you're only talking CDMA and GSM. There's only 2 cellular networks in the United States. So, you know, and you know, the little smaller carriers are just, you know, kind of getting a second-hand leftover bandwidth. I would never, I don't care how cheap I could get a phone, I would never go with one of these. I refer to them as third-party networks. You know, there's 2 main carriers. You got AT&T and you got Verizon running the 2 different networks. And all the little guys are just piggybacking and just, you know, sealing leftover bandwidth. You know, and as these things just greatly advance over time, that's way less significant, I guess, because there's so much available that an older 1200 Goldwing, there's so much there that, you know, your coverage is probably pretty good. But
I personally, other than dealing with friends and family that's used other networks, you know, I haven't personally been a part of one of those networks, so I just know that I've never had a problem. Coverage is never a problem, and when I'm out of coverage, it's almost never that someone else does have coverage. Now that will happen, you know, in these little small communities where things are fathered in, and we have a couple of spots around here where US Cellular around here has got some old Ma Bell fathered in things where they have exclusive coverage, but you're talking such a small segment of areas. I mean, and even those, they go away, and then you get coverage. And it's funny, you know, you don't go past the place where you didn't have coverage for, you know, a year or two. You come back through, and now you got, you know, 4G LTE. So it's if you don't have coverage, just hang tight, it's coming. But man, especially like going down the freeway, holy moly, I don't think there's freeway just about anywhere that you don't have coverage. Main interstates, you get into you know, some of this back road stuff, like going through California down 101, you drop down in these hills. I mean, they, you know, they can't put those antennas everywhere, for the love of Christ, but there's definitely places where you don't have coverage. God damn, that rock, that truck just dinged a rock. Why do the rocks always have to hit you in the kneecap? Is that like a target or something? Wow. And then I'm wearing these, you know, my work pants, which are these Dickie uniform things, you know, and the pants aren't very thick at all. Very, very comfortable, but they're more like, you know, the consistency of a pair of slacks or something, you know. I always worry about, you know, if I ever go down wearing these pants, I'm gonna get road rashed up. That damn hospital's gonna be picking out my work pants cotton out of my skin for, you know, hours. But anyway, this is long enough. I do a MotoVlog and talk about phones, but my initial impression with this Note 5 is very impressed. I do have one, and you know, I don't know if it's an Android problem or a Samsung problem, but when you restore a phone from another phone's backup, granted, I get my contacts back, I get all my messages back, I get all my emails, and so, well, most of the emails are on servers anyway, but my email information, I don't have to re-enter, you know. Well, actually, that's not true. It did lose it, even though it said it was saving all my emails. It lost it. So I had to re-enter all that stuff. But once you're in, you know, they're on a server, and I can pull them all out. But I did have to re-enter everything. And entering into my corporate work account is a goofy thing. And, you know, I do it so infrequently that, you know, once a year, when I get new phones. I don't have to do it with the Apple, though. It just, you back it up. You know, you got iCloud backup, and then you can do an encrypted backup on your computer, and your new phone will return as the same phone. Literally nothing. All your passwords, everything, absolutely every single thing is as if you just change covers on your phone or something. You know, something that has no effect on it. And when you do it on your computer, you know, you're hardwired to it. Use a, you know, a fast USB port, and it does it very, very quickly. Now, some of the apps, you know, if you haven't updated the apps on your computer or whatever, it'll push the older apps, so you got to wait for them to re-update. You know, I try to get onto iTunes on the computer every once in a while and hit update all. You know, because if you do a backup for it doesn't actually back the program up. It just puts the program back in the same, however you had your phone set up, it sets it in there. But with a new phone, it'll put the version that's on your, it'll physically put the version that's physically on the computer, so it'll just be an older version. So that's a little side trick there. You know, if you know you're getting a phone, like the night before or whatever, open up your iTunes on your computer, go to apps and hit update all. And that way there's no waiting for it to come over to the Wi-Fi to update on your phone. But anyway, the experience of switching an iPhone is flawless to the 9th degree. So I got all my apps from my Note 4 on my Note 5, but all my structuring, my folders, how I had everything organized, gone. Absolutely gone. And apps are kind of sporadically spread between like 3 or 4 home screens, and it's oddly enough, it's mostly like AT&T apps and Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. Everything else is in the app tray. So now I gotta, I gotta rebuild my home screens. I think I had 3 home screens on my Note 4, because you can do with Android what you've been able to do with Apple. You can group them and have a folder. And with the latest updates too, you can actually have a folder that you can scroll through. It scrolls up and down instead of left and right like an Apple, but before you can make a folder, but there was only so many apps you could put in the folder. So you had to have like Office 1, Office 2. And in all fairness, Apple was the same way. I don't remember which OS upgrade it was that you could actually have multiple screens, within a folder. But they're all, everybody gets a good idea from everybody else, and they all copy it. I think this whole copyright thing is water under the bridge now. So it's kind of like motorcycles. Everybody's stealing ideas from everybody else. And that makes it good for the consumers. It'd be horrible that, if all the cool things of Apple were locked out, nobody else could use it, and vice versa. All the cool things with Android, nobody else could use it. Apple reminds me a lot of Honda. They're very conservative, They're kind of the last to come out with things, They want to make sure everything works very smoothly. They don't just throw wild gimmicks out there at you and pray that it works. Let you be the guinea pig. Nobody's perfect. They all, there's updates that are flawed and whatever. It's all part of the deal. Nobody's perfect, but the way phones are getting nowadays, the smartphones, like this Note 5, even though it's, it's got a, the TouchWiz, loader on there, or whatever the hell you call it, the facade, I like to call it. They've toned that thing way down, and it's, I do not feel compelled to boot it up into anything else at this point. And I tried different things with my Note 4, and then as the updates came along, I just stuck with TouchWiz. It was still pretty much bloatware, but they had even toned it down on their updates and stuff. So anyway, I'm very happy with the Note 5, and I have a very distinct feeling I'll probably use the Note 5 a lot more than I use the Note 4. But we'll see how that all goes. Which reminds me, when I set up them email things, I didn't set up my my signature, so my emails have no signatures on it. Unless that carries, nah, I'm sure it don't. I think that the signature is local. It's on the device. But we'll see what we got there and play around with it. It's a little annoying that I have to go through resetting this phone up. I am thankful that all the apps and contacts and everything, but between the backing up with Google and backing up with the Samsung Smart Switch, I think they call it, it all worked out. I just wish it, carried everything over as precise and seamlessly as Apple does. That'd be really, really cool. But different platforms do different things. everybody's got their own way of doing stuff. Some you love, some not so much. But anyway, I got you facing in the sun. I'm just driving down the freeway. It's kind of hazy. It's not very appealing visually, so I'm gonna roll out. We'll save some memory for the drive home. Well, I usually don't drive you down the freeway home. I have sometimes, but I like to wait till I get up in my neck of the woods and go busting down some all but too familiar back roads now. But I'm gonna let you go. So I appreciate you guys watching. I hope I didn't bore you with phone BS there. So if that's your thing, I hope you enjoyed it. If not, I'm sorry I bored you. But at any rate, I am going to let you go. And before I hit the super curves up here, I'm going to hit the off button. So we'll talk to you guys later now. Hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful day. Take care now. Bye-bye.